children of the night. What music they make.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's up?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash you a bit.
Hello, true believers. Welcome back to Final Guys and Excelsior. Today, we're going to take a little detour from horror. We're going to cover the small independent film known as Captain Marvel that came out this week. And before we get started, let me introduce, I'm Jack, and my co-hosts, Hunter, Jason. You look marvelous.
It is better to look good than to feel good.
As much as true.
I feel like $1,000,000.
God, you're gross.
This
Jason
movie
has
gave me the flu.
Jason has Ebola, so good thing he's under quarantine.
If you have him in the death pool, this could be your night.
His movie this week he watched was Outbreak.
Oh my God, I wish. Maybe it wouldn't have made me sick.
So there's going to be a lot of mic muting tonight.
Well,
from over there.
If I'm feeling kind.
Jason has felt so passionate about this movie, though, that he, despite being sick, he wants to be here so he could unload.
That's true.
Yeah, he seems angry tonight, so this should be fun.
Yeah. So before we get started, what are the? We have a game where people drink cough syrup every time we say a specific word. So what are the?
That's right.
The medicine word game.
Tonight you got to drink purple drank. This
Robitussin.
All right. So this is the rules. If those of us say certain words, you have to drink to those words. And luckily, we have a guy in the chat, Sharon, who will keep track of how many drinks you have taken. And luckily, nobody has died yet because nobody really does this. So, Jack, if you say Marvel, Cat, or Fury, purple drank. If I say Cosmic Avenger and Goose, purple drank. Jason, if he sneezes, coughs, no. If he says Ben, Aliens, and Wife, some purple drank. And if any of us say Agent Brie Jackson, you got to drink.
Well, that's pretty much everything.
Yes.
Yep.
And then he'll make up something like every time we say Coulson, he'll throw that in. So, anywho, will you guys anything to say before we get into the big news stories of the week?
I got a copy of my Antarctic Ice Beasts in print.
Ooh.
So I'm like the last to get it. I haven't gotten my author copies. It's been out for a month. So I ordered one on Amazon.
So that book is out there and available for the public to purchase.
It has been out since Valentine's Day. It is actually doing quite well, surprisingly to me. So it's awesome.
They didn't send you author copies? What the hell?
They're a little delayed, which is perfectly fine. I mean, Severed Press is down in Tasmania. Things can take a while.
All right.
a little peek behind the curtain of being an author. It's not all glitz and glamour like we've made it seem so far.
Yeah, that's my life, glitz and glamour.
All right. Well, let's get to the news. You guys remember last week we talked about how Adrienne Barbeau was going to have a podcast?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I listened to a couple of the episodes.
Oh, they're already out there.
They're already out there. So it turns out the way it works is she is like the host. And so she talks and it's like scripted for the most part. But then it switches over to other people who she is not with who have a conversation. And then every so often she chimes in as almost like a narrator or host.
Oh.
So far that's what it's been. But there was I listened to one that had Barbara Crampton and some other annoying woman.
Well, thank God we're out of Women in Horror Month. It's okay.
Barbara Crampton is delightful. She was great. The other listen to it. I think you'll.
Yeah. All right. I'll check it out tonight.
You'll know what I mean. But ironically, there's more Adrienne Barbeau news.
How is this possible?
Adrienne Barbeau is the new Quentin Tarantino Charles Manson movie.
No, are you kidding me?
So it turns out.
Okay.
The DC universe is like the DC Comics streaming platform because everybody has to have their own streaming platform now.
Mm-hmm.
They are doing a Swamp Thing series. And Adrienne Barbeau tweeted that she was going to be a part of it. And she didn't say who she was going to play or what, but she was in the 1982 Swamp Thing. Wes Craven did that, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Love that movie.
But then she took the tweet down like a day or two later. So now they're like, well, wait, is she still in it or not? So the news is Adrienne Barbeau might be in the Swamp Thing series. But
I can guarantee if she's in it, she ain't gonna be naked this time.
You're right. The guy who's going to play Swamp Thing is Derek Mears, who was in the 2009 Friday the 13th.
Huge guy,
big man. But there are many familiar faces in this. Let me just throw the names that jumped out at me. Jennifer Beals, she's a maniac on the floor.
Looks like she could still flash dance.
Oh yeah. Will Patton, who you've seen in a million things. He's in the new Halloween movie, isn't he? Virginia Madsen.
Okay.
You might remember from such things as Candyman and Monk.
Sideways.
Okay.
And there are many other names. Well, the last one that jumped out at me, Sharknado and 90210's Ian Ziering.
Oh, thank God.
So maybe
finally some legitimacy.
Maybe there'll be a Swamp Thing NATO.
That's an odd choice.
I met him. Nice guy.
Yeah, but whatever.
The shame about all these series, I read about these. Oh, there's going to be this series, going to be that, and that's like, this one's going to be on Hulu, this one's going to be on CBS, this one's going to be on DC, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm never going to see these shows because
this one's going to be on some service I never heard of.
Yeah, and I'm not getting new subscriptions to stuff just for.
My favorite is CBS All Access, where you have to pay for a free channel. That's my favorite one.
That's a great idea.
So you could watch Star Trek,
right?
That nobody's watching. Did you guys ever see? Did either of you see the Man Thing movie that Marvel put out?
No, I never did.
I saw part of it.
It's
rated a long time ago.
I think it's rated R.
Yep, I think so.
It's surprisingly good.
Really?
It's not like the MCU thing that they've built up, but as a weird thing that they kind of threw out there, I liked it. Maybe I got to watch it again. Maybe I was drunk. I would remember liking it.
Chances are. All right, the next piece of news. Since we're covering a Marvel movie, I thought this might be applicable. The rumor mill is going about there may be a new Blade movie, R-rated, probably in the Marvel universe, with Wesley Snipes in it.
Maybe he'll be the Chris Christopherson role now.
Well, what they're saying is the early script is looking like it may be him training his daughter, who would be called Fallon Gray, I guess, in the comics. But that could change.
Why would you make your daughter do this?
No, his Blade's daughter, not Wesley Snipes' daughter.
No, I'm saying that's a horrible thing. What a bad father for that. Oh. Here's the life I bequeath you.
I'm shocked Blade isn't Father of the Year. It's the greatest mass murder in history.
They should make a Blade marries a figure skater, and then it's Blades of Glory.
Oh God!
How about Blades of Gory?
Oh, there you go. See, this is called brainstorming.
Teamwork.
R-rated. I'm surprised.
So my question is this: if they do that, does that make all the Blade movies canon in the MCU?
That's a great question.
No.
Can they just ignore the third one? Because that would be nice.
The Ryan Reynolds would be in that world.
That's
as
a good
whatever
point.
Hannibal King.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
That's scary.
You have to ignore the third one then.
Yeah.
God, screw that movie.
So I don't know.
I'm waiting for SheHulk.
You know that's coming eventually.
SheHulk would be awesome, actually.
Who would you cast as SheHulk?
Ooh, the girl who played Stephanie on Full House.
Okay. Yeah. Oh no, the little sister in Family Ties.
Tina Yothers.
Yeah, she has broad shoulders.
Tina Yothers.
Tina Yothers as She-Hulk. That's my dream casting.
I wonder, would a woman be insulted by that? But She-Hulk was pretty sexy.
What about the woman
She
who was
definitely
in,
sexy?
Hap and Leonard, and was it the girl next door?
Christina
No,
Hendricks.
I can't remember. I don't know her name. She's really tall. Shoot.
You're talking about from The Strangers or The Others or whatever the hell it's called?
No. What's the? I can't. It's the book and the movie. Jesus. They somebody captures a wild woman from the woods and puts her in the basement, and they're kind of torturing her and screwing with her. Jack, it's a. Oh God, who wrote that novel? Jack Ketchum wrote it.
Jack Ketchum.
Oh, Girl Next Door.
Is it the Girl Next Door?
No. Oh crap, The Woman.
The Woman. I think it's just called The Woman.
Right.
Yeah, I can't think of that actress's name. She'd be great.
Neither can I.
She's a big, strong woman. I don't know what I'm saying. Help
sexy. Someone dropped it sexy.
Well, they could also do like a Lord of the Rings thing, and they take a normal sized person and just make her appear bigger.
Yeah, probably just CG her.
Fun fact: when I was dating my wife, she may or may not have asked me, "How did they make Bill Bixby look so big when he's the Hulk?"
Oh my God.
We were young when we were dating.
Oh, what about Caitlyn Jenner as She-Hulk?
That's awesome.
Pollyanna McIntosh. Thank you, Sheridan. That's the actress's name.
There's a name that rolls off the tongue.
I'm surprised I couldn't remember it, to be honest.
Isn't the person who plays you guys don't watch Walking Dead anymore? I think there's somebody named Pollyanna in Walking Dead. Okay, the last piece of news.
Yes.
What's your favorite rape revenge movie?
Revenge.
Can I just pick one?
What's the king daddy of all rape revenge movies?
I Spit on Your Grave.
That's correct. And there was remake, right? And sequels to the remake?
There was a sequel, and then there were 3 remakes.
There was not a sequel.
There was a remake.
There was sequels to the remake.
But then they remade it, and then they put 2 sequels after that. They came out. I watched them
now,
all.
40 years later, there's going to be a sequel to the original one.
Oh,
and they're gonna have the original woman and her daughter. And so I think there's going to be. I think Halloween totally lit the fire under this one.
Yeah. Now she's waiting to cut off a dick.
Yeah, so
it's not just going to happen.
I can't even. I'm not even going to find the girl's name. All you need to know is there's going to be an I Spit on Your Grave. Now, how old would she be? My God, when the heck was that movie? It was like 1971 or something. Old.
I think we might have casually met her somewhere.
Could be.
It's one of those where you know that they're there, and then you see them, and then you go, "Well, that can't be them," and you walk away. And later on, you go, "Oh, that was her."
Are there this many people pining for a sequel to this? I mean, Halloween, everyone was excited. I Spit on Your Grave.
I will tell you that the new ones that they did within the last 10 years were actually pretty good.
I saw the first remake. I don't think I saw the sequels.
Yeah, a little more.
And this
definitely done.
The remake was surprisingly good.
There was the one where they dropped the girl in Bulgaria. That one was really wild.
So who knows when that comes out? Sounds like we've got a movie of the week.
Boom! Put it on the calendar.
Boom!
We're paying.
So excited.
That was one of those movies though that before you saw it, it was like I Spit on Your Grave. It's too intense. Oh,
that was a big deal back in the day.
Yeah, it was a big deal. The
Great
bathtub scene in that movie.
Hey, I remember when I first saw it on VHS. We were hopped up. It was like a drug. We finally saw it. Oh my God, it was great. Did you see what she did?
That's like a good Last House on the Left double feature. And then just throw yourself off a bridge.
Yeah, they both make you feel so awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, Last House on the Left, I have zero interest in revisiting that movie. Just watching it felt like it was made by a psychopath.
Yeah. What about the remake?
I never watched it.
I
thought it was decent. I think I remember there was the cheesy part at the end with the microwave, but other than that, I think it was.
Yeah, it was a better movie, the remake, but it didn't make you feel as gross.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's something about that first one just. Ugh.
Yeah.
The first one though, the best part comes is once the movie takes the twist, and you're just like, "What the hell is happening right now?"
Scary part is that was my parents. That was one of their favorite movies, and they would watch it all the time. It's so weird.
That explains so much about you.
It totally does. We were just at the Alamo. My mother saw it on Blu-ray. And she was like, "Oh," I was like, "Don't. You don't need it."
Good Mother's Day gift.
Said you already have 3 copies. You don't need that version.
Got the director's cut.
This
20
has a
minutes
booklet in it.
20 minutes extra rape revenge footage.
More rapey.
It's rapey. How would you do one word to describe this? Rapey.
Rapey. Very rapey.
Okay, that's all the news. So with that, let's go and check out what we watched this week.
We have such sights to show you.
All right. Jason, since you have a terrible speaking voice tonight, you go first.
Well, hopefully I'll keep this short so my voice doesn't give out because I've got a little bit of talking to do later on.
Save it for Captain Marvel.
I've been talking about wanting to do this for I don't know how long, probably since we started this show, but my wife and I finally decided we're going to start going back through all the classic slasher movies from the 80s, the whole series, and watching them. And we started with Friday the 13th because I feel like, at least from my memory, I haven't watched a lot of these in a long time. It consistently has the most even quality out of all of them. Maybe it doesn't have the highest highs or the lowest lows, but
starts low, stays low.
So we started with the first one, and I catch this every couple years, but my wife hadn't seen it since probably college, so she didn't remember it. And this is a surprisingly well-made movie for the most part. I think this might be the first time I saw it in Blu-ray. It looks great. For being made for such a small amount of money, it looks just really good. The only thing that really struck me that I didn't remember much was all the POV killer shots throughout the movie that are just dog shit. I don't know what in the hell that was about.
They were trying something.
But otherwise, the Tom Savini effects, they're great. Every time I watch it, though, I'm like, okay, Mrs. Voorhees is throwing women through windows and stuff, like lifting people up.
She was a beast.
Spearing them onto doors and things. It's a bit of a
Betsy
stretch.
Palmer. I don't think she could have thrown a chihuahua across the room.
And my wife actually liked that it wasn't Jason as the killer, which is what she expected. So she just had no recollection of that ending. So she kind of liked the twist. It was a little different for a slasher, but fun movie. Cheap, low budget, good effects.
I love it.
It's a good
movie. Watch it all the time.
So Friday 13th Part 1.
Excellent. All right, Hunter, what do you got for us?
Well, sometimes I share quality stuff that you should seek out, and sometimes I land on a grenade for you all. And I did that days ago. Haunting on Fraternity Row.
Oh,
God.
Which the poster is actually cool. It's definitely like a throwback 80s slasher poster. And, it makes you think of Sorority Row. That's where it kind of ends. It's the tagline is "Party until you're dead."
That was my motto in college.
It's a movie that is more a party movie than a horror movie. So it's these lunkheads in the fraternity are having a party, and they have like their sorority, that's their sister sorority there, and they've got pledging going on, and most of it literally is watching a house party unfold. A lot of people getting lubed up and doing slip and slides on half-naked women and boobs, and I'm like, what is this? But little do they know that the fraternity house, there was a series of murders in there, and then there's a demonic spirit that's in a hole in the ground in the basement, and kudos to them for finding maybe the worst CGI team they could find to create this monster. Looks like a combination of the Babadook and a Sasquatch that put its finger in a light socket.
They dug up the guys who did the Lawnmower Man, huh?
Oh my God. That has to be seen to be believed, but you're going to have to fast forward a really long time to get there. I don't think anyone gets killed for like an hour into this movie. It takes forever. And there's a love story in there. And there were certain parts in the third act where going, no, that's a first act thing. Why are you doing it? It's too late. It's too late now. So But I do think if you're 16, 17, 18 years old, you actually might like this movie. Not for me. It was Drek.
What was it
5
called?
stars on Netflix. Haunting on Fraternity Row.
Very nice.
What year is it?
Avoid. 2018.
Oh, okay. So
Fresh out of the shit box.
Still steaming when you saw
a
it.
hot steaming pile of movie.
I will say I stayed awake through the entire thing because it's not, I don't know. It's just not good. But maybe I just enjoyed watching kids partying, wishing I was in a fraternity again.
All right.
Couple of things. Number one, if anybody saw The Walking Dead on Sunday night, there's one of the Whisperers who gets shot with an arrow and then dies and becomes a zombie. That was my friend Morgan's either nephew or cousin.
No way.
Cool.
Yeah, he texted me today. He's like, "Hey, my nephew's on Walking Dead." I can't remember if it's his nephew. I think it's his nephew.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I saw it. I was like, "Oh my god, he had kind of a big part." And he just texted me. He's watching it now. He's like, "Oh, he got an arrow in the head." Yeah, so it's pretty cool. So we're 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon from Walking Dead. So I continued my quest into 1970s vampire movies. And this time I watched Daughters of Darkness from 1971.
Oh,
I remember that one.
So it's got some boobies and some lesbian stuff going on in it.
Mhm.
Like right off the bat, the married couple, newlyweds, go at it on a train, and just dives right in. So this couple, I forget where the hell they are, like Belgium or something like that. They go to this. They've just gotten married, and they're on their way to visit this guy's like mother or something to break the news that they're married. And this guy's kind of a jerk. He's not very nice to his wife, and she's kind of crazy about him. They go to this hotel that's off season, so it's like empty. So they check in and they're doing their thing, naked, and this beautiful older woman and her sexy, like French maid looking counterpart come in, and they are like lesbian vampires, and she's actually Elizabeth Bathory.
Yep.
And the guy at the hotel, the guy who runs the hotel, like recognizes her. He's like, "I remember you from like 40 years ago when I was just a bellboy here. It was you." And she's like, "Maybe it was my mother." What precedes then is kind of a pretty slow movie.
To say the least.
And basically the two vampires are kind of making their way into the married couple, and the younger one is going after the husband, and the Elizabeth Bathory is seducing the young bride. And the funniest thing about this movie, and the reason you should watch it, is because there are very few deaths, but when they do happen, they're almost all accidental deaths, or
like the bathroom scene.
Like the bathroom scene, or there's a scene where a bowl breaks and cuts somebody's wrist. And so there's no fangs in this movie.
No.
I
reviewed this on the show like last year at one point.
Yeah, this is one of those ones I've just been meaning to, and I don't even know if I've ever actually seen this movie or not, because I had flashes where I'm like, that kind of looks familiar to me. But if I saw it, I must have been a kid when I saw it. So, and I probably saw like the edited version on like Channel 9.
It's like one of the first ever Dutch horror movies.
Yeah, slow. But
that hotel is still there. You can go there.
Yeah, it has a Shining vibe to it.
But the woman, the Countess Bathory, she was like a famous French actress at the time. Weird that she would do that.
What the hell was I going to say? The movie gets a lot of acclaim on but I was reading about it on the internet, and I was like, why is this movie getting acclaim? It's
boring.
Yeah,
it's boring, but it has a cool style about it. I don't know.
It does have a style to it, but
that hotel had like the dimensions of the old-time Universal castles. Every room was big and ornate and stuff, so it kind of had that throwback vibe.
Also, there's this. If you watch the trailer, they say, "Wait till you meet Mother," and the guy at one point calls his mother, and it's like a guy dressed like a woman.
Yeah, like Harvey Firestein.
Yeah,
It was like,
Mr. and Mrs. Doubtfire was like his, but then it goes nowhere. He just talks to her on the phone. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Oh, my David. Oh. So, Daughters of Darkness, I enjoy it because of my trip into 1970s vampire movies. This is like, I just got a kick out of it. So I had fun with it.
If you want to be more entertained while watching it, Joe Bob covered it in the last drive-in. So at least you get some comedy breaks in between.
That's how I watched it.
It's much more entertaining than just the drudgery of watching it on its own. All right.
It's another one of those movies, though, where there are some people that totally believe in vampires. Oh, well, are they vampires? You must believe in vampires, don't you?
Hey.
So.
All right. I watched Friday the 13th Part 2. We were going to do one movie a week, and I kind of figured out how many movies there are in all these series. It's going to take me like 7 years. So we're doubling it up. I had not seen this since probably high school. I never think of it as one of my favorites of the series. And it was better than I remembered. And I was really digging it as far as the sequel goes for probably the first 3/4. I mean, a guy in a wheelchair gets a machete to the face. You don't see that too often, you know?
That's a great kill. Great kill.
The third act kind of isn't as great. And my God, could they have found someone a little bigger to play Jason Voorhees? Like, I could have folded that guy up like a pretzel and thrown him out the window. He was so small.
You are a giant, so.
I mean, he was the same size as some of these little counselors. It was interesting, but you know, it was a fun movie. It was better than I remembered. Once again, it looked good. I think the camps they're filming at really helped. It gives it a lot of cool scenery and a lot of good shots and stuff. So I liked it. It was fun to go back to it. Like I said, it's probably been 20 years since I watched it. So entertaining. I can see why people liked going to the theater to see these, because some of these kills are just great.
Yeah. Adrienne King, when I talked to her, she was promised a bigger role and was none too pleased when she arrived. They were like, well, you're going to die early in the movie.
I looked that up wondering what it was, and there are so many different theories. I was kind of not sure what was true.
You'll never find the truth at this point.
Okay. Because
she told me that, and then she tried to sell me a bottle of her wine that she makes.
Okay. Yeah, I saw she had a stalker and she didn't want in it. I saw she wanted more money. I saw they didn't want to use her, so I had no idea what the truth was.
I thought it was a cool bridge. I had no problem with offing her right there.
No, it was unexpected too. It added a different element to the movie, so it's worth
the
watch.
one where Jason has the bag on his head, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a worthy sequel, so I dug it.
Cool.
All right. I dipped into Netflix again to see this movie that came out last year called Hes Out There. This movie is much better than Haunting on Fraternity Row. This is a slasher movie with a limited cast of people to slash, but it's basically this woman is married to her husband and they got 2 little girls, and they have this house, this kind of like summer house in the woods in the middle of nowhere. And he can't make it up with them when they're going up. He's going to get there later for some work thing. They never really get into it. I couldn't figure out whether they were having marital troubles or if it was a work thing. And she gets there with her kids, and immediately things start to get weird because there's somebody out there in the woods who's stalking them. Concluding there was a cool scene. These are little girls and who are played by actual sisters in real life. The girls are phenomenal. When they get there, they want to go on the swing, and there's like this red string tied around where the swings are, and they follow the string into the woods. And when they get into a little clearing in the woods, there's a tea set in there. And one of the girls eats a cupcake that's left behind. And of course, later on, a few hours later, she's poisoned. So basically, she can't breathe. She's poisoned. They can't get to the hospital because the phone lines are cut. The car has been demolished. So it's a mother hearing some psycho try to get in and screw around with her in the house with a little girl who's dying before her very eyes. The first 2 acts I thought were really good, and then it went into just a weird place. But the killer's cool. He's got like a cool visage that you might like. It's a middle of the road kind of slasher film.
What year is this one?
2018.
New.
Sticking with last year. Small body count. But when the blood happens, it's kind of some cool scenes. But it's worth it for the performance of the two little girls who were just really good. So was the mom.
Did you say it was called He's Out There?
He's Out There.
Okay. I started watching that, and I don't remember why I stopped. I feel like it looked like the video quality looked poor at the beginning, and I wasn't sure if my internet was slow, so I stopped watching it to go back to it later and completely forgot to.
It must have been your internet because it did look good.
It looked fine? Okay.
Yeah.
I can't watch a movie. I can't watch a movie that might ruin cupcakes for me.
This might ruin cupcakes. You might be, you'll just stop eating cupcakes from strangers.
Does this movie do for cupcakes what Jaws did for swimming?
Exactly. Okay. So to win the eat cupcakes alone.
All right. I watched some true crime stuff. I watched those Ted Bundy tapes on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to know how that was.
They're very good, but with the caveat of dark and depressing. And I don't know if I needed 4 hours of Ted Bundy content, but it is fascinating because I've seen a million documentaries on all these serial killers. You know, there's always one on one of these channels, and his story is amazing. How you always forget how many freaking people he killed, and how easily serial killers could move around before the internet and everything. And
I never had a problem.
But so while watching this, it was interesting because you got a little bit more of the perspective of people involved in it. So you saw interviews with the cops or somebody's relative or something, and you saw news footage from the local TV stations and things like that. You know, so before the crime was solved, how were they reporting on things and all that? And then I either didn't know it or I had forgot about it, but I didn't realize Ted Bundy. I knew he escaped once. I didn't realize he escaped twice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so that's fascinating. So I would recommend watching this, but you know, just you have to be prepared for some dark stuff here. So if that's not your bag, don't do it. But if you're, wait till a sunny day so you can watch it. And
believe it or not, that is not my bag. I'm not a serial killer person.
Oh man, I went through a time where all I did was read up on these nut jobs. He's one of the craziest. The shit he was able to pull off was nuts.
I think maybe because I was literally terrorized by the Son of Sam growing up that I don't like serial killers.
Son of Sam was like right around the corner from me, wasn't he?
Yeah. So, and there was a time when they all suspected he was close by and we were fucking terrified.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah, good times.
Learning so much about your upbringing.
Welcome to Yonkers.
Sorry, so that's all I watch. Anybody got anything else?
Yeah.
I don't, but Jason does.
Of course I do. Get out of here. All right. This one's going to be a little shorter. I just saw this one up on Shudder. Gremlins 2, The New Batch. Another movie. Have not seen it since I was a kid because I didn't have great memories of it. What was happening with it? But apparently they just wanted to do, Joe Dante wanted to do a, I don't know, like a parody of the first movie and of sequels. So he did this slapstick Three Stooges, kind of weird Gremlins thing that's just all over the place. And after the first act just becomes a series of gags with the Gremlins. And I don't know, I guess if that's your kind of humor, then you'll like it. But I missed the dark atmosphere of the first one, the throwing the gremlin in the, in the microwave and blowing it up. And
is Phoebe Cates in that one?
Yeah. Yep. It's got some good actors.
Is Dick Miller in that one?
Yes, Dick Miller's in it.
Rest in peace.
There's actually a ton of great actors in it. Pretty much everyone from the first one, and this has Christopher Lee in it. Yeah, I mean, it's just brimming with good actors. It should have been better than it was. It had, I think, 3 times the budget of the original.
Christopher Lee, he's the guy from Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf, right?
Exactly, you got it. Yeah,
I remember him. Short guy, squat, terrible accent.
Yeah, it's just, it felt like I was watching The Naked Gun with Gremlins in it. Is kind of what it felt like. It was just,
I must kill the queen.
So over the top. So I don't know. Not my bag, but love the first one.
Yeah. Well.
And I got a quick book. I'm still going through Richard Lehman's oeuvre. This time I read Blood Games.
I know I read that. I have no recollection of it, though.
A group of old college friends, all women, they take a trip every year as friends, and they go to this abandoned, I don't know if it's a resort or something like that, and a whole bunch of people were killed there years ago. So they go there to just spend the night and check it out, and of course they run into bad stuff. Once again, Lehman's writing just gets me. I can just really plow through his work, but this was probably my least favorite of his stuff. The characters are terrible, to be honest. They're just terrible people. They make stupid decisions, and it was kind of hard for me to get into that.
He was very good at making garbage people.
That pretty much sums this up. So
the dogs agree.
Yeah. A good time for me to bow out. It's my least favorite of his work, but if you like his stuff, check it out.
Yes.
I'm done.
Be a completist.
All right. Well, then let's get to the main feature, fellas.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
All right. So Captain Marvel, the latest in the Marvel Universe movies, the prelude to the Avengers Endgame, and the debut of Brie Larson as Carol Danvers / Captain Marvel. Hunter?
I knew it.
I'll recap this for you.
You can. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Not to be confused with DC's Shazam. This is Marvel's Captain Marvel. So it's a movie about a girl, a woman, one might say, who is a Kree, right? It's Kree? Am I
Kree
right?
warrior.
Thank you. Kree warrior. And so we assume she's an alien. She's a Kree warrior, and she fights Skrulls, and that's what she does. And she's powerful. She's got shit that comes out of her hands. Super strong. And then she, while battling Kree, makes her way to Earth in the 1990s and finds out that maybe she is not her origins, because she really doesn't know where she comes from. She may be from Earth? Maybe?
Possibly.
And after crashing into a blockbuster, so we know we're in the 90s, she is trying to find these Kree soldiers that have landed on Earth, and she wants to kill her some Kree, but then her world is turned upside down in a funny way with Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, which I will talk about that later. And just, the regular Marvel stuff happens, but maybe not the stuff that I think a lot of people expected to happen, but it didn't matter because it made $900 million already.
They were also pitted against the shape-shifting Skrulls.
The old Skrulls.
Who are at war with the Kree.
There we go.
All right. So, who's going to give their opinion first? I feel like
Jason's got a big old smile on his face.
I'm dying to know what Hunter thought about this movie.
I want to hear what Hunter thinks first.
Yeah, they dragged me back into the MCU for this. I will tell you this. The world, they.
Okay.
As we all know, I'm like, I don't want to see these things anymore. But Brie Larson happens to be my favorite actress. Of the current class, she is my favorite. So I was excited to see her because I'd watch her in anything. I was not excited to see a comic book movie, especially Captain Marvel, who, hey, nobody I knew gave a crap about Captain Marvel, DC or Marvel's version when I was growing up. But
did
whatever.
You like Scott Pilgrim?
I did like Scott Pilgrim.
Okay. That's a cartoon kind of movie.
Yeah. So I said, going to see this. My daughter, who watches all these things, she's in. So I was like, all right, we're going to go. We're going to have a good time. Who cares? Set the bar super low. Look, if you're going to do the MCU universe, I figure this probably falls somewhere in the middle. I mean, I liked it way more than Doctor Strange, but way less than Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's no great shakes. It's a decent movie. What irked me was that the Marvel guys and girls finally got an actor who can act the shit out of anything. And they said, hey, can we have you kind of act like an alien, almost like a Terminator type thing? Do as little emoting as possible. Once you maybe realize your humanity, you can smile a little bit. So for that, I had a hard time connecting with her character. Too much Samuel Jackson, who his casting as Nick Fury infuriates me. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. He's terrible. He's 70 fucking years old. Stop. But I guess they can stop at the Avengers movie, right? That's that when that ends the next one. So maybe we can be done with.
We're not going to lose everybody, but we'll probably lose a few people. I doubt you're going to lose him.
Yeah, you're about 12 years too late on that complaint there, dude.
I've been complaining all along. I thought that's an absolutely terrible casting, but whatever. So I didn't like the fact that he was in it so much, but he didn't really do much except fawn over a cat.
He looked amazing for the
whatever they were
de-aging.
doing. Yeah.
The de-aging process on him looked amazing.
So kudos to all the people in South Korea who fixed his face up with computer graphics. Like I said, it wasn't a great movie. It didn't knock my socks off, but whatever. I had some beers, I had some popcorn, I was there with my kid. It was a fine time. I do realize, and I've said this before, these movies are not made for old people. In the old days, the comic books were made for little kids, and there was nothing else. Now the comic books are made for adults, and the movies are made for kids. Because
all right, so I'm going to jump in with my opinion, and then we'll let Jason unload. Because I disagree with you there. I think these movies are made for both kids and adults. Yep. And I think part of the reason that these work, the Marvel movies work, is because they're able to hit both audiences. And if anything, there are times where the movie, an adult has to cut the movie a little bit of slack because it is a comic book movie. And so you have to allow for big, colorful things or cut it, suspending some disbelief every so often. Because you are sitting with a 7-year-old who is enjoying it just as much as you are.
Yeah,
so exactly. I think it's a beautiful thing because in our office, I'm talking to high school kids who are working our cameras and we can sit down and this is like the great connector. They don't want to talk to me. And then suddenly I'm like, oh, did you see Captain Marvel? Oh yeah. Did you see Black Panther? Yeah. We'll talk for a half hour about it.
Yeah. The 4-year-old my daughter's watch loves this movie.
So I'm the Marvel guy here. I enjoy these movies, and I pretty much agree with you on. I feel like this is a middle of the road Marvel movie that's kind of the appetizer while I'm waiting for the main course of the end game. I think there are certain Marvel movies that are like just incredible, earth-shattering things and are phenomenal. Like I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I love the Avengers. I love a number of them are in the upper echelon. This one I would throw somewhere in the middle because I felt like the writing wasn't as sharp. I thought the jokes weren't landing as much.
Yeah.
Brie Larson is good as this. Her character, though, you're right. She starts off as a warrior who's got to discover herself. So she has a more of an edge to her.
There's so little nuance to her, which is sad because this is a girl who can do a lot.
But you see flashes of it, I think, towards the end. But I felt like, yeah, I would put this in the middle. I like the Ant-Man movies better than this because I think they're funnier. And I thought that this was missing the belly laughs that even like a lot of people don't like the second Thor movie. And I have a soft spot for that movie because I think there's some really funny stuff that happens in that movie. When Thor and Loki are going at it, bantering with each other, I love that stuff. And when Loki like turns into Captain America, and Kat Denning in that movie is hilarious. So there's some things, these Marvel movies, sometimes I'm just more happy watching the characters talk to each other than any of the fighting scenes.
Well, see, and that's the thing, because somebody was complaining about this movie wasn't funny, man, as we were walking out. And I looked at him, I said, well, I read these comic books as a kid. You could go whole years without a chuckle.
Yeah, but that's not what the Marvel movies are. The Marvel movies are half comedy. This tried to be half comedy.
Oh,
just didn't work.
So I did like the rapport between Samuel L. Jackson and her, and I'll save it for when we get into it. But I thought Ben Mendelsohn as the Kree guy was probably the standout in this movie. But let's let Jason release the hounds.
Okay.
You ready? We're going to sit back.
So here's the thing. This isn't Justice League bad. It's not that kind of terrible, incompetently made movie. My problem with this is if this was a big puzzle, it has all the pieces on the table and they put them in the wrong places. Things that should work are off just enough that it doesn't work. It's a lot of the humor's that way. A lot of the fight scenes are that way. And it starts with, this should be called Captain Miscast because Brie Larson should not be in this movie. She's probably the best actor in the entire MCU, and her performance, I don't know how much of it's writing. I don't know if she can't do sarcastic humor. I don't know what the deal is, but she's bad in this. Like so bland, which is kind of the whole movie. It's bland. The fight scenes are bland. The comedy doesn't work. So Thor 2 is a great example. Everyone says Thor 2 is worse than this. I disagree, because there's stuff in Thor 2 that I like. There was like nothing in this that I can look at and say, yes, that was a great moment. Because even they would start building like the fight on the train. There's so much bad crap in that at the end that it just kind of wrecks what started to be a cool moment. I'll go into all this stuff individually, but I'm just kind of doing a quick rundown here. The biggest problem is the freaking writing in this is so bad. I just could not get over it. I don't know if this movie was rushed to get in before Endgame and they didn't have time to do as many drafts as they wanted, or I don't know. And it starts with the structure. It tries to be 14 different movies. It's a buddy cop film. It's an amnesia film. It's an alien space movie. It's a nostalgia movie, and it just switches, and it doesn't do any of them for too long or all that well.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she doesn't know her background, but we know her background pretty much the entire movie, doesn't help. And they structure it in a way that when she basically overcomes nothing in this movie. All she has to do is find out who she is. That she doesn't really overcome much.
Well, she doesn't have to. She's the freaking strongest thing on Earth.
But that's not how you write a good character. Like, okay, even in freaking Man of Steel, he had to fight 3 other Supermen, you know, so there was something there.
Did you like at least the pacing? Because this movie did not let up. We didn't have a big origin story to bore the crap out of you.
That's a great example. The pacing, I actually didn't start paying attention to why I didn't like everything until about a third of the way through, because about a third of the way through, I kept wondering, why is this so boring to me? Because it's fight scene, falling out of the sky, being tortured and questioned, and why is it so bland? And that's when I started paying attention to different things. So yes, the pacing's fine, but it doesn't make it less boring. So, right. Okay, you guys can speak for a while.
He did like... Well, look at this movie, a Marvel movie I liked more than Jason. Who knew that could happen?
This is the bottom of the rung Marvel movie for me.
Really? This is better than Doctor Strange?
No. There was a lot of stuff in Doctor Strange I liked.
Really?
Yeah. This, I had nothing. The only one close to this for me was Ant-Man and the Wasp, and at least I got some laughs out of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Marvel guy, give me something.
Well, a lot of the other people who were sort of on the same page as me as far as the Marvel movies saw it before I did, and were giving me the same thing. They were like, "Yeah, I saw it. I don't really need to see it again till it comes on, you know, Netflix or something like that. It's okay. It's fine. It's another piece. It serves the purpose of getting her into the universe, and I think once she's in the ensemble." And the one thing I'm kind of disagreeing with you guys on, I think Brie Larson is a great actor, but I think that the Marvel Universe is littered with tremendous actors.
Oh, it is.
They are, if anything, she lacks the sharp wit that Hemsworth and Downey, and Chris Evans is a funny guy who mutes his comedy, but
who will never be in anything after Captain America.
Yeah, we'll see. He's been in some
unless
good
you can do a Fast and Furious 15 somewhere down the line.
He's done some good stuff.
But Brie Larson is really, really good.
But I think she was miscast.
Really good. I actually think she's good in this too. I think she didn't get a chance to totally.
I just pray she gets out. I pray she gets out in time before she's completely known as Captain Marvel and stuck in that.
I pray she gets out so I don't have to see her do this again.
I have a feeling the next movie she's going to be great in, because she's going to be playing off the other characters, and she'll probably develop a little bit. If you go back and watch a lot of these movies, the first movie, Doctor Strange, Thor, any of them, by the time they get to the second or third movie and they're starting to interact with the other, look at Thor and Ragnarok compared to the first one. You know, they got his sea legs going with that. So I have more faith in this than you guys do. So again, like last year with Black Panther, I thought that was okay, but it held me over till the Avengers movie came out.
Well, that's what I'm hoping happens. The Russo brothers can do to Black Panther, or to this, what they did to Black Panther, where they make everything from the original movie more interesting when it's in the Avengers. That's what
I kept thinking about the Russo brothers throughout this, because it's like the Russo brothers are masters of making a movie that is serious enough and tense when you need it to be, and then they can just inject something hilarious and then switch back immediately. And something like The Winter Soldier is more of a serious movie, but they just pick and choose certain spots and they know how to relieve the tension with a laugh. I always go back to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was a great show because it knew how to straddle the line of taking the horror seriously, but being funny enough because you were doing ridiculous things. So it balanced that line, and Marvel does a pretty good job of that. And that's why when I say this movie, the writing, Jason, you said it too. The writing was flat in this movie. It was kind of flat. There are some really good things I like that I get into in spoilers. But I just, I would, it's, the other thing too is like Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman was playing more of a, she was playing a fish out of water.
Yeah.
And that gave her a lot more opportunity. Thor, same thing. You know, he comes in Captain America once he got into the future, all that. So she didn't really, when she got to Earth, she was just kind of like, okay, you know,
they spent 5 minutes doing the fish out of water thing, and then they just abandoned it completely. And she just knew how to ride motorcycles and shit within like 3 minutes.
What helped Gal is she looked like Wonder Woman, so she could have done anything.
She's
living
perfect
embodiment
casting.
of Wonder Woman.
Yes, she's perfect as Wonder Woman. Brie Larson.
The problem with
is
Captain
not.
Marvel, there's so many versions of Captain Marvel, and you know, and nobody really knows that character.
I don't know if, again, this could have been down to editing, but I think they were editing around it. I don't think Brie Larson's very athletic, because just in scenes where she was running, I was like, what the hell? Looks like
she trained like a monster though for this. Like,
did she? It didn't look like it. That makes me think she must be really
I saw videos of her like a climbing wall, like doing Spider-Man. Like
she was serving popcorn and drinks in Clifton, New Jersey for the movie. Just popped in there. She's awesome.
I do want to say a positive thing before I continue my ranting. The CG they did with Sam Jackson, I mean, we are living in the freaking future. Yep. That is unbelievable. If we need more Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan movies, he can do 30 more because you just de-age his ass. I mean, that was unbelievable how good that looked 95% of the time. You just wouldn't know. If nobody told you, you wouldn't know.
Coulson wasn't quite as good. He just looked kind of like he had a wig on. But my biggest complaint of this movie would be there wasn't enough Coulson in it. I was happy to see him, but they could have used like one more scene with Coulson would have been nice.
It'll be on the DVD.
I want to give you a couple just little examples of things that bothered me that sound like I'm nitpicking, but it was this shit throughout the whole movie that really, it felt to me like the sum of all these parts are what weighed it down for me a lot. And they're little lines like when there's a ship cloaked in the sky and they go up to it and it says decloaking activated. Wait, decloaking activated? Really?
That's how it works.
That is terrible writing. Like, are you freaking kidding me? And again, it's nitpicky. I'm sure I'm one of 4 people in the country who noticed it, but it's
that's pretty freaking nitpicky.
You were in full hater mode at that point.
Yeah, well, I told you about a third of the way through, I'm like, something's really off here. The fight scene on the train.
You're just a Mr. Krabby Pants.
She's beating the shit out of this alien, right? Bending metal poles and stuff, and she rears back to just destroy the thing. And a dude just grabs her arm mid-punch and just stops it. And again, to me, I was like, oh, for Christ's sake. Like, she's this super powerful being, and this dude just stops her. Like, if you want to do the story right, if you want to, again, this is me nitpicking, have the guy jump in front of the punch, and she has to stop. You know, don't weaken her character in that moment by having just a dude be able to catch her punch like it's a freaking Rocky movie.
Unless it was Chuck Zito. He could stop anything.
Yeah, Chuck Zito could do it. Yeah, of course. Dolph Lundgren could do it. So it was just it was this kind of thing, and there's more I have in spoilers I won't go to now. The whole way through the movie, there's just like, the piece is there. You just put it in the wrong place. Like, what are you doing? And it just, all that stuff added up to me is just like this avalanche of just doing everything incorrectly. Okay,
what'd you think of the music? I thought some of it was great. A little bit of it was a bit on the nose, but
too on the nose. Some of it was really good. At the beginning, I was digging it. I'm like, oh, 90s music, yay!
I was happy to hear Garbage. I'm only happy when it's rain. So I love that song.
I said to my daughter when we left, I said, I have the CDs of every song that was on there.
I was listening to a podcast with one of the people who made the movie, and they were talking about the No Doubt song that's in it. And they actually, because that's the one that kind of feels like a little bit obvious. And she actually had something interesting. She goes, yeah, that was one of the first songs we considered. And then we like went through 9 million songs. And then we circled back to that. And we're like, why are we not just using this? It works. This is the one. So while everybody kind of watches that scene and goes, this feels a little bit obvious, they were like, yeah, it's the one that worked. So,
by the way, Gwen Stefani would have made a killer Captain Marvel. She's ageless too.
Yeah, sure.
No, she's got a large.
No, she looks great, but can she?
I'd say no doubt about it.
Actually, one of my nitpicky things is from that scene when we get into spoilers.
Well, let's get in before this thing goes on too long.
All right, spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear what happened, get out now.
Earmuffs, kids. Earmuffs.
Literally going to spoil everything.
Go for it.
Okay.
Can I say one thing first?
Yeah.
One of the best parts of this movie, Stan Lee's cameo.
The best part of the movie.
Reading the script to Mallrats on his way as Stan Lee. And so now, think about the meta. Stan Lee, who created the characters, is in the movie as Stan Lee.
Perfect. I love that. I was grinning ear to ear during that part.
And that the whole movie was dedicated to Stan. I thought that was
nice. The opening scroll, the Marvel.
That was probably the best part of the movie.
It made my wife cry. All right. I forgot to actually mention this at the beginning, but the reason the fight scenes were bland, and I didn't get this till I was watching some clips later. They did the fight editing that drives me crazy. When you don't see the choreography, they do a cut in the middle of each move. You know what I mean? Like different angle. And it just made it bland. So again, nitpicky, but I noticed it later. I'm like, why is this not working? Too many freaking cuts that annoy me. Okay, enough. So here are my big problems with the story structure. When I say she doesn't have to overcome anything, there's the big scene where she has to get up at the end and fight the AI that is the worst bad guy in any Marvel movie ever. And they show a montage of her getting up her entire life, and it's supposed to show she always gets up. That is not how you tell a goddamn story. We have to see her getting up as shit happens to her throughout the movie, and then it makes the big scene where she gets up at the end powerful. You can't do a montage 5 seconds before she stands up and think I give a shit.
I would have preferred she did the Hulk Hogan thing where they lift her hand. Are you done? Do you submit? And then on the third one, no, wait a minute.
It's the same with her long lost friend. When she ran into her friend, I don't know, halfway through the movie again, I didn't know who the hell she was. It was supposed to be this big emotional scene. They'd talked for 20 seconds earlier in the movie. That was it. So again, there's no build up to what are supposed to be these emotional scenes. That's why they have no resonance, because they don't mean shit. So that's kind of where I'm coming at from the story structure standpoint. The way they told the story didn't allow for the build up to the key scenes that they had later on. So it didn't have an impact.
No resonance is probably a good 2-word review for this movie.
One thing I liked about this movie a lot was the twist they did with the Kree. The Skrulls. Because everybody I've talked to was like, oh, who's going to be a Skrull? They're shapeshifters in the comics. A lot of the Avengers ended up being Skrulls in disguise. There was a whole Secret Wars thing. And so they were like, oh, they're going to be the bad guys. And instead, they twisted it that they were at war, but they were really on the good side of the war.
They're not the bad hombres.
And they casted Ben Mendelsohn, who plays the scummy villain in so many movies. And he started off and had you convinced that he was doing it. And they admitted that their hands weren't clean. But once they got to that point where she realizes, when he's sitting there drinking the Coke in the house, talking in the asparagus makeup, and you realize you're like, wow, they made they flipped this really well. And his acting, I thought he was tremendous, and I liked the way that they did that subverted your expectation. And so I thought that was good.
That's a great example of, for me, there's a piece missing. I like the twist. Ben Mendelsohn was great in this movie. He really was. But that twist then made the villain basically non-existent. We've seen this AI twice for a minute and a half, 5 minutes, whatever the hell it is. And that's it. Jude Law was not in the movie much. So because they did the twist, but they didn't show us those other characters enough earlier in the movie, that it was like her feeling of betrayal at learning this. It's like a wet fart. I was like, whatever, who cares? So I like the twist, but the piece wasn't in the right place again.
See, I think Jude Law was in it enough because his absence helped with the charade of the Skrulls. So if he was in there enough, I thought it wasn't the greatest villains in the world, and I see what you're saying, but it didn't bother me because you got the sense of, okay, I'm your mentor and stuff, and actually what he was doing was almost like a abusive husband, where he knew that she could kick his ass, but he was trying to manipulate her, emotionally and mentally. So I kind of like that, and I'm glad they didn't kill him at the end because.
So that part is what I said earlier is what carries into one of my biggest problems with the movie, is because I felt like the twist wasn't earned because we didn't see those people early enough. At the end, she is killing all of her teammates and friends from the alien SWAT force or whatever the hell it was. She's killing all of them. There is no emotional resonance at that at all. She was cracking jokes with these people at the beginning, and then they're just not in it again, so you don't give a shit at the end when she's literally killing them.
Right.
That should have been a big emotional scene for her where she has to revolt against the people she's lived and trained with. And instead it's like, I don't even know who these people are. And she's pretending like she doesn't give a shit either. So again, the story structure was so fucked in this that it was just, I didn't care about what was happening at all.
Hey, but how was the popcorn?
I didn't have any. That's also why I was pissed off. And I wasn't drinking.
All your anger lowered your freaking defense system, and it let in this creeping death.
Another part where the piece is out, when the song starts playing during her big fight scene, I'm Just a Girl, right? There's a jukebox there that somebody gets thrown into, but the music starts playing before that. That would have been such a perfect thing. She throws him into the jukebox, I'm Just a Girl starts playing, she kicks everyone's ass. You got the piece. Come on, people.
Well, you were watching this really closely.
For the love of God.
I applaud you.
Well, I was getting really agitated.
I pity you. I pity you. You got to lighten up, Francis.
I was just sitting eating popcorn, drinking a beer, talking to my daughter. Going,
I ate Raisinets, but they weren't Raisinets. They were the Minute Maid. Yeah.
They made Raisinets?
So Sun-Made.
Oh, just the raisins.
No, they're chocolate covered raisins.
Oh, I gotta get me some.
But let me tell you something. The end game is going to be 2.5 to 3 hours long, so I probably might need like 2 boxes.
After that 3-hour movie. This movie was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
It didn't feel long to me.
Oh, dude, I was dying.
See, I was having a good time, so I didn't care.
The thing that also bothers me is I was expecting this to be a big lead up to Endgame, and it is not. If you haven't seen this, you could go watch Endgame, and you're not going to miss anything.
I agree with that. You don't necessarily have to see this movie for Endgame.
No, I would not have wanted to go see it. I thought it was going to have a much bigger tie-in.
Because just with seeing the commercials, you could be like, "Oh, okay, well, that beeper was calling her, and she's been." You could explain it to somebody who hasn't seen him pretty easily. I did like the stinger though in the middle, because any glimpse of Endgame for me, I'm like, oh my god,
I'm dying for Endgame. It's just, this was such a polar opposite of Infinity War to me, which was some of the best writing of all of last year. I actually think that movie should have won some Oscars. And this was just so completely done in the opposite direction, where nothing was earned. And it just frustrated me so much.
The writing is day and night from that movie. And that's, again, the Russo brothers are just in another stratosphere. I fear for the future of the MCU once they're gone, because Joss Whedon, I thought, started out good, then he kind of ran out of gas, but he got the motor started and got him going, and they were the perfect guys to take over and take it to the next level.
Yep.
Oh,
and Taika Waititi, and they got a lot of other really good directors. Now, when you get into the next generation, where it's Black Panther and Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel instead of, these other, like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, they got a lot of heavyweight, really quality, funny, charismatic people. I don't know if Cumberbatch is going to be able to carry this forward, so we'll see what happens.
This will eventually die. I mean, it can't last forever. I worry about Disney. What's going to happen when people tire of this and they realize Star Wars sucks?
Yeah, they'll
What's
only
gonna
make
happen?
$30 billion a year at that point. It'll be
Eventually,
horrible.
they won't make anything. There was a time when Fu Manchu movies made a lot of money.
Well, the reason
it's
the
just
reason you
a
don't have to
cycle.
worry, the counter of my own point is the reason that I don't need to worry about them is because right when you think they're going to just go to, a lot of other maybe not so high level characters, is they're going to get the X-Men and the Fantastic Four back like next week.
Fantastic Four is what I want to say because that was like them and Captain America, my favorites. I just want to see what they do.
I like to see the X-Men in the proper universe, and so.
Me too. I'm looking forward to it. I will spare you the rest of the shit I jotted down. It was
Thank
it was
God.
a lot. It was a lot.
The very, very end stinger was another one of those kind of like Ant-Man where the ant is playing drums. You wait a long time for a gag, literally a gag.
I got up. I left.
I will say the Nick Fury eye thing was also crap.
Oh yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
I hated that so much.
Yeah, did not like that at all. He doesn't even react.
No, he's fine with losing an eye.
Yeah, my whole friggin' eye just got ripped out by an alien cat.
He keeps
I
it as
did
a
like
pet.
the cat. I did like the cat, and I thought the stuff with the cat was funny. That actually did make me laugh. That I was like, oh, there's the laugh.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
and I liked his interaction with the cat. But you're right. Once I go, really?
Yeah.
Let me just wash some dishes.
Yep. And my only
fine.
other concern, and I'm not that concerned because it's the Russo brothers. I just don't want her to steal thunder from the original characters in the fight with Thanos in the next movie. I do not want that to happen. If she's the Superman of this universe going forward, that's fine. But I just really want this to be we've had 10, 12 years with these characters. I would like to see them get a proper send off without the God character coming down and Deus Ex Machining the whole thing. I just Machining? Yep. Made that
sounds
up.
right. I like it.
Nailed it.
Drink.
I'm going to Urban Dictionary right now.
Okay, I'm done. Jesus.
All right. So I think we know where you feel. I don't think our opinions are going to make anybody go see this movie or not.
No.
So.
We are like farts in the wind.
Yep. That's true.
But whatever. We're consigned to our fates. We know.
Excellent. All right. I don't even know what we're going to watch next week. So I guess we'll figure it out and put it up on Twitter and Facebook when we figure it out.
I think we've got a couple options this week, actually. So, yeah.
We've got this week, and then we have us the week after, I think, right?
Yes. Critters, the new Critters movie comes out soon, too.
Pet Sematary is close, too, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. Finally, we won't be digging into Indian films.
I got to tell you, the closer we get to this Pet Sematary movie, the more nervous I am that it's not going to be that good.
Coming Attraction looks good, but that means
there are certain things in the Coming Attraction that are red flags for me. I'm like, that looks bad. Like part of it looks really good, and then there's like one or two little things that I'm like, ooh.
Well, the usual red flag is I've seen this movie before. Why are we making this again?
I have not watched the new trailer. I don't think I'm going to.
Don't.
Okay.
Ooh, strong don't.
Damn.
Don't watch the trailer because it gives
the trailers are spoiled.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to share the link, give us a review, and all the other stuff that podcast fans do to help their podcast. We'd appreciate it. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Make mine Marvel.
Excelsior.